This is a reminder video on how to do the Latvian braid knitted in the round. I'm going to be using the braided edge cast on. You can create a cast on and what I would consider a foundation, then do your braid and then continue on with your work, or you can simply start with the braided cast on. This is what the braided cast on and the braid itself look like together. If you were to do what I consider the foundation, you would simply cast on however you like, knit a few rows, maybe 5 or 10, however long you want it to be. Then you would do the braid and then continue with your pattern. I'm going to again show how I do the cast on, the braided cast on. I'm not doing the foundation. I'm just going to get right into the braided cast on and then begin the braid. So this is what it looks like. You get the arrow effect going around. And then this is what the inside looks like. Honestly, the inside looks like a hot mess, but it's the inside, so it's no big deal. But that's what the inside of the braid looks like. At least it looks a lot better on the outside. For this particular pattern, this is a sock. It's the Lumi sock by Fiber Tales, paid for pattern on Ravelry. You're using the Latvian yarn, 100% rustic yarn, a little bit scratchy, definitely sticky. It sticks to other yarns, especially itself, or other Latvian or Rama yarns. And I'm using it with 100% woolen spun yarn from Royal Bee Yarn Company. Can't remember the name of this one. I'm calling it Cobalt Blue for right now. So to get this started, Latvian braid, when I'm just doing the cast on edge and the braid, it's 5 steps. The first is to cast on with the 2 colors of my choice using the old Norwegian cast on. First you'll make a slip knot, then begin the cast on, doing the old Norwegian cast on with the 2 colors. Second step is to knit the first color, knit the second color, and alternate in that pattern all the way around. Reminder, the cast on has to be an even amount of stitches. Has to be an even amount of stitches. So the second round is, or the second step is knit one color, knit 1 second color, and keep going from there all the way around. Third step is the actual braid, which is done in nothing but purling, which is crazy because that doesn't look like purling. That looks like sideways knit stitches, but it works. So you'll purl matching your colors. So I would purl, if my first color is the white, in this case, I would purl the white, purl the blue. Next is white, blue, and continue in that manner. And I'm going to pull from under. So if my first stitch that I need to purl, if the first one is white, I need to pull the white under the blue and then purl it. And then pull the blue from under the white, purl it. Next one would be white, pull it under, purl it. And while you're doing that, the twisting braid effect will also happen with your working yarn. Pull that out a bit so it doesn't, come on camera. May not be in focus all the time, which I hate. There we go. So that twisting effect will drive you kind of crazy at first. Don't worry about it. Let it twist. It's fine. It's going to do that. It's supposed to do that because on step 4, what you'll do is the first stitch you will still pull from under. The remaining stitches you will then go over. Next stitch, pull over, purl. Next stitch, pull over, purl. Next stitch, pull over, purl. And when you do that, it begins to untwist the working yarn back to the separation point where the yarns are no longer tied together. And then the last step, step 5, you just do one solid foundation of knit stitches, then you do whatever your pattern calls for. So, getting started. I'm going to make my slip knot. The slip knot is not counted as a stitch. It's just there. And you will take it off when you get your cast on stitches done. You'll take it off because when you join in the round, you're not going to join in the round like you normally would. Where, if you remember when you knit your socks, you take the stitch off the left needle, that last stitch, you pull it onto the right needle, and then if this was the last stitch on the right needle, you would pull it up and over and get it onto the left needle, put the stitch marker on, keep going because everything is locked together that way. This, you are not doing that. So I'll show you how to do that in a second, because once you start knitting with these 2 colors, it just magically joins itself. You don't need to mess with the stitches to lock them together to join in the round. They will just do it on their own. It's pretty cool. So slip stitch or slip knot, you can do just, you can do the twist like you normally would, but you'd have to hold it in place and then begin, which is fine. It works. See, it locks it in. This will pull off. It doesn't make a difference. Here, I'll pull it off right here just as an example. See, it's locked on. Whoops. But I don't really like doing that, so I am going to keep to the traditional make a slip knot, not do what I would normally do when I cast on. You won't need to do a tail. Normally when you're doing a sock, you pull out a length of tail to then begin casting on, and it eats up the tail as well as the working yarn when you're doing your cast on for 56, 72, 64 stitches. This braid, you don't have to. When you're immediately doing this with the braid edge, you don't have to do this. This being having a significant tail created. So let me go ahead and do the slip knot. Doesn't matter what the length is. slip that on. Now I'm going to hold this tail out of my way, because otherwise things will start to stick. And the two yarns that I'm using right this second, it's the Royal Bee Yarn Company woolen spun, and this is Ramagon yarn, both fingering weight yarns. Well, actually, this is a heavier fingering weight, but it is what it is. There we go. I want it to focus. So I'm going to grab these two down here with my ring and my pinky finger just to keep them out of my way for now. And I'm going to do my Norwegian cast on, but I'm using two different colors. And I'm going to knit an even amount of stitches. The Latvian braid needs to have even amount of stitches for it to work. So I'm going to go ahead and do 48 stitches. Because I don't fast forward anything, this is a get a cup of tea, sit back, Netflix, listen to music, and knit and chill in time. Let's see what we got. This slip stitch is not a stitch. Do not count this at all. It's invisible. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oops. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 8, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. So close. Take that extra stitch off. Okay. 48 stitches across. Make sure your spine is aligned. You don't want to twist anything. Keep it all nice and even. At least I call it the spine. So I want to keep that even. I want the working yarn coming off the right side. Now, like I said, you're not going to join these in your quote-unquote traditional manner like you would with any other sock, meaning you're not going to pull this up and over onto this needle and then move this stitch onto this needle to lock it into place and then continue knitting. You are not doing that. For the Latvian braid, you've got your slip stitch, which doesn't count, it's invisible. Get rid of it. Don't pull it, not yet at least. Just let it hang. This is your beginning. Stitch marker. Get my little Gryffindor cupcake. That of course has other yarn stuck to it. There. And this one came from Sucre stitch markers years ago. Okay. Slip knot hangs, stitch marker on, working yarn. This is from the slip knot, it's the tail. I'm going to knit in alternating colors. For me, there's no rhyme or reason to this. It's going to come out the way it comes out. If you want something different, then you do what your pattern calls for. But for right now, I'm just going with the flow. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Let's see. I'm going to start with the white. And this may feel weird because you didn't join it in the round. Too bad, so sad. It is what it is. It's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. Knit every other color all the way around. Tighten it. Well, tighten it up doesn't make a difference because that slip knot's there. So if you pull on it, you're not going to do anything. I'm not a fan of knitting without my thimble, which I may have to grab. This crazy gap, it'll close itself. And if it doesn't close while you're doing the braid, you can use the tail to tighten it up. And you do that once you are done with step 4 or step 5, preferably step 4. Okay. Into the round, nothing's twisted. That was the setup round. Now I'm going to pop my stitch marker, move it over. This was looped together. It was the slip knot. If I pull on it, it's not going to close this gap up. It's just there. But this will tighten naturally on its own. And to make it even tighter, you take these tails and you can tighten it up on round 4, step 4. So what we do now, we just did step 2. The first one was the slip knot with the cast on with the 2 colors. We just did step 2, which was alternating the colors in knit stitches. Step 3, we start the braid, and it's nothing but purling, and we're going to match the colors. So stitch marker has been slipped. I'm going to pull my yarn in between because I want this yarn to be forward the entire way. And I'm going to make sure that these yarns are not twisting because they were when I was doing the alternating. So I'm just going to make sure that they're not twisted on this back end. Get them to unravel. Okay. It's untwisted. Get my stitch marker on. Tail is down here. All right, here we go. Step 3. I want both of these yarns in the front. I simply pulled them because everything was knit stitches. They were already in the back. I'm simply moving them in between the needles so that they come up front. And we're going to start matching and purling. But we're going to twist is what we're going to do. So my first stitch that I need to work with is the white, then the blue obviously. So we're going to match. I want this white. I don't want to go over. I want to go under the blue. See how naturally, because I ended with the blue is first. I ended with it, so it's already on this side to start. I don't want that. I want the white to go under the blue. And the best way to hold these is get your pinky and your ring finger to kind of hold on to them. Because this is not going to feel comfortable. Because normally I would wrap everything around my hand, but I'll be doing that on every single stitch. It's just annoying. So you just got to hold it kind of tight, just in between these 2 fingers. Pinch, and I use my middle finger to kind of anchor and purl. Purl that stitch right off. Give it a snug. Okay. Now I'm going to get this tail out of the way and into the back. Now you've got the white in motion, ready to go for the next stitch, but I don't want that. It's a blue. I need to purl with the blue. So I'm going to twist the yarn. Again, the white's ready to go. The blue is in the back. I'm going to, it's just the way I'm holding it with my fingers. That's the way it is. Twist, twist, twist. I want the blue to go under the white. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm just twisting it, just like that. That way I can get it into an anchored position. Use my middle finger to help pull, purl it off. See? Now the blue is in the starting position, but I need the white. So again, I'm going to grab these two guys, twist. I'm going to get the blue out of my way by holding it. Get the white in an anchor position. Purl it however your hands will let you. Purl it. I'm going to just pinch these guys, give them a bit of a tug, and I'm going to keep doing this all the way around. Like I said, get a cup of tea, some Netflix, some music, because this is going to be a long one, but it's in real time. I want to purl the blue. I want the blue to go under. Grab. Purl. White. Under. Grab. Purl. I'm not sure how you would do this or how this would feel if I were to do this English style, so let's try it. Okay, I want the blue. I'd have to do this, move the white out of the way, get myself into a purl position. I'd have to hold the white in the back with my left hand, wrap, and purl. Ooh, that's a lot of steps, but that's what you would do if you're doing English style. You pull it back in the front. You're still in the same position, the correct position. You need to get to the white. So if I'm still going to do it English style, just for kicks and giggles, in case anyone else ever sees this and has a question on it, you need the white to go under. So I'm going to hold this blue out of my way, and I'm going to English style with my right hand. Go up and over and purl it off, and then pull them both back. So that's how you would do it with English style. For me, kind of finicky, so I'm not going to continue doing that, but that's how you would do it if you're English style, unless there's another way that is more comfortable, obviously. So going back to continental style, I need a blue, twist, purl, these are in the front, twist, get this tail out of my way, blue is under, purl, I want to go under. Oops. And I'm just stretching my stitches around. Give myself some room. Get this tail out of my way. Twist. This entire round, this entire step number 3, as I said, is everything's going under. And it's twisting all of the working yarn right now. And I'll show you what it's doing. Got a bit of a twist here. See? It's twisting the whole thing all the way to the balls of yarn. Now, it will untwist when we get to the next round, so don't worry. But continue twisting under. At least for this round. And again, I keep them separate. I'm just twisting because I want the blue under the white, just like that. Or you can pick up the white, pull the blue under, however you want to hold it. You just got to get the blue from this second side under, so it's over here on the first side, if that makes sense. See, this is the first, this is the second. You want this second to be over here, move it to first place. And I just twist and hold. I tried the Latvian braid. Feels like years ago, but with the way the years are flowing, it was probably earlier this year for all I know. But whenever I did try it, didn't like it, made no sense. Written instruction on it, no thank you. did not help. I'm a visual learner and unfortunately could not find a good visual video. Found snippets here and there. There are videos on this method, don't get me wrong, but for some reason it just didn't work for me. I don't know why. It is what it is. So taking bits and pieces of each one and really focusing, I finally got it to click. But I don't want to have to, like I said, be flicking back and forth from video to video to figure out how to do this the next time I do this, i.e. the second sock. So I figure, let me just make a recording for myself. That way I won't forget and I can just do it and get it done the next time I need to, with no searching of videos or anything like that. I can just keep it in my own little library. And who knows, maybe this will help someone else out. If it does, yay. If not, it helped me. And that's what these are for, is to remind me. You see how it's twisting all the way up to the needle? Just untwist it a little because you want that blue to go under. That twisting is a good thing, so don't worry about that. It may get annoying, but it's supposed to do that. The twist will definitely get in the way the closer you get to the beginning of the round, it feels like. But I'm not in a rush. So I'm not going to worry about how long this takes me. If you forget if you did a twist, just untwist. See where the yarn's coming from. Second place, first place. Make it come in to first place. Nearly there. Okay. Twist that one into first place. Okay. See, no point in speeding up the video. It would take me that long anyway, and I have to pause the video and all that jazz, so might as well knit with myself in real time. Okay, now let me go back, put that back quick. Can't see it around the camera. All right, so my working yarn is in the front because I've been purling. Last stitch is blue. Stitch before it is white. Everything is twisted all the way to the balls of yarn. This is going to magically untwist. So watch what I'm going to do. Stitch marker, move it over. First stitch only. We're still matching colors here. I'm going to get this thing to align a little bit by untwisting it so I can work with it. I want to work with a white. I am going to only for this first stitch go under like I did on every other stitch on that first twisting round. Step 3, the twisting round. I went under again. Get my cupcake out of the way. Last stitch was blue, stitch before it is white. I'm now on step 4, round 4. This first stitch, I am going to twist so the white goes under. Again, twist it so the white goes under for the first stitch only on round 4, on step 4. That is the only time you're going to do that on this particular round. Now, moving forward, you're going to have everything go to the top. You're no longer going under. This is a no now. This is a yes. You want the blue, which is the one that you need to work with. You need to get the blue on top. Okay? Twist over. Hold that white yarn out of the way. And again, you're purling. Purl the blue yarn. Now you're in line. Don't do this. Don't go under. Go over. You want the white to flip and fly over the blue. Hold the blue. Purl. Tighten it up a little. Next stitch is blue. Go up and over. Purl the blue. Need to do the white one now. Up and over. Flip it up and over. Purl. Okay. Now you need to deal with the blue stitch. Up and over, make that blue fly up and over the white. On top of it. And purl. Just straightening out some stitches. Next stitch is white. Again, you want the white up and over the blue. Purl. A little bit of a tug. You're going to do the up and over, fly up and over on this entire round, moving forward. Just remember that first stitch, you went under, only that first stitch on this particular round, round 4, step 4, only that first stitch. Did it get treated like what you did previously? But now you're doing the up and over, the fly up and over. That just helps to get things lined up correctly. Don't go too fast with this. Be patient, especially if it's your first or second time doing this. And honestly, this is my second time doing this, so I'm not rushing. First time I did it, made no sense. Second time I did it, which was this little guy, maybe about an hour ago, something clicked and it worked. So, making myself a reminder video in case I forget. And I'll understand what it is I need to do. Split the yarn. There we go. See, I want to go under. I have to remember, go over. I think I might use this technique a lot more on socks, maybe even on the bottom of a sweater or a cuff, just to get a different look. And you can put this braid anywhere it seems. It doesn't have to be at the top of a sock. You could just magically put it somewhere within your knitting. if it looks right, if you want to do something like that. Maybe do a braid with color work and then do a braid to close it off. Do this for a brim of a hat would be nice. Give myself some extra space. And you can see there's the braid forming. It's actually really pretty. Get that back in position. Twist. Plus, if I do this in real time, I'll always know how long it'll take me to make this, unless I end up speeding up naturally just with practice, which could happen. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, oh well. It's actually kind of relaxing to do this. To show you to see how it's unwound. Here's the two. See, you still got a little bit of a twist, but it'll undo itself all the way. Flip up and over. Purl. It's kind of weird how you're purling this entire time, but it's a flat braid. It's amazing what you can do with yarn and needles. Now I'm going to move this over. Did step 4, just finished that. Step 5, knit a foundation round with whichever color that you prefer, or whichever color your pattern calls for. So to do that, you simply, let me flip this over. I moved my stitch marker. I'm just going to pop this right in the back, just right in between the needles, right to the back. And I'm going to choose, I'll choose white. You could even alternate and keep it as blue, white, or you could start your ribbing if you wanted to and you didn't want to do the foundation knit round. Your choice. Whatever makes you happy on this particular project. But it's nice to have that foundation round just to get that braid to kind of pop and really show itself. At least I think it does. Sorry, I'm pulling yarn, trying to get some slack. That's why I'm doing that. Okay. Back at the beginning. It's just the tail getting in the way. But luck. Stitch marker in. Now what I could have done is not do that knit round and go ahead and look at anything that looks kind of funny, which seems to happen right here in the beginning. I could have done this little fix, so to speak, before I did this full knit round, or I can just do it now. So since I've already done it, the knit round, I mean, I'll go ahead and fix it. now are the tails. Needle. I think I'm going to use, this seems for me to be personal preference. I think I'm going to do blue. I'm picking blue because it feels like this doesn't really have a leg. See how that has a leg and a leg? These are clear. You can see the clearly defined V's. But this one's kind of broken. And you can also see how there's a V, that blue one? V leg right there. But there's the pearl bump hidden at the base. Same with the white. You've got the white, and that little bump, that's the pearl bump that's being made as we go around and do the pearls. So it looks flat from a distance, but when you look way up close, come on, focus. There. You can see that little bump right there. That's the pearl bump. Pearl bump. And when I look right here, this is the beginning of the round. See, there's that pearl bump, pearl bump, pearl bump. So this one goes to that and that. This just looks kind of jacked up right in here, right in this little space. But then you've got a pearl bump here. Come on. Pearl bump with that blue leg, pearl bump with that white leg, and it keeps going. But there's something just kind of jacked up right in there. So I took the tail, took my blue, put it on my needle. I'm going to come from the back and I want to try to get to this leg. I simply went under it. And this is just preference. This is just how you want it to look. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no science to this. You just get it to look the way you want it to look, basically. Okay. And as you can see, it did tighten up. Remember, there was a gap that was way down here. It's all gone. So I want there to be a V. So I'm gonna go right through the front and pull. See what this does. If I don't like it, I'll take it out. Nah, not bad. Okay. I'll take that. And I'm not a perfectionist, at least not when it comes to something like this. So I'm gonna take that as it is. At least it's connected. Okay. And if I really want to get fiddly with this, take my white, can make this one a little bit more pronounced, so to speak. Stick that in there and pull on that. Okay, making sure I'm not getting my cupcake stitch marker locked in there. I think I'm gonna split it a little bit and get in between and see what that does. That didn't make a difference, so I'm gonna take it out. Like I said, this little part here is personal preference. Let me see if I were to take that. I can just move it right next to it. Again, personal preference. There. Can't really tell it did anything other than me pulling on it, but kind of helped. Like I said, this little part, it unfortunately gets messy. And I'm not sure why. Couldn't be me, could be just the way of the braid itself, how it acts. But I've not found any other tutorial that tells me how to really clean this up, unfortunately. So it may just take some practice fiddling with this beginning bit, but from a distance, once this gets connected, it's not that bad. Not that bad, but that can be the back. So, but that is the Latvian braid knitted in the round with the braided cast on edge. And again, this is what it looks like on the inside. Let me flip this over. You can see knit stitches buried in here, and it's the alternating colors that were being used in the braid, which is really cool how it comes out flat on this side, but then you get the puckered look. I'm going to do one more round and see. See how well the braid pops out after another round of knit stitches. This would be nice on a Selbu mitten. I have seen them on Selbu mittens, so this would definitely be nice to add on the ones that I do. Reminder, if you do this on a sweater, on a cuff, or the bottom of a sweater, you may want to go up one needle size Wouldn't think more than 2 needle sizes, but definitely at least 1 because you want the stretch. Without taking this off the needle, which I could do. Just want to get that locked on there. I really want to know, because you can tell there is stretch to this. It's actually a lot of stretch. But if you're doing a sweater, especially a sweater, if you're doing it on the base of a sweater, this is puffy because you did a splice on the yarn to put it back together. It was splitting. If you do it at the bottom of a sweater, you don't want this prohibiting the stretch at the bottom of the sweater. But what you could do is, especially if you have color work at the bottom of a sweater, you could have your sweater and then your section of color work have maybe 1 or 2 more knitted stitches or knitted rows of stitches to kind of cradle that color work, and then do a bit of a braid, then do your ribbing to get off of the sweater, and hopefully that won't cause too much restriction. It should stretch, should in theory, thinking off the top of the head, should, because right now this is a cast on edge and cast on edges can be restrictive, but this does have some give to it, which is nice. Let me see if I can do this without pulling it. I'm going to try something. I never have seen anyone do this before with Latvian braid, so I'm going to test it out and see. I want to know how much stretch this thing has. Actually, let me do it this way. Really? No, you didn't just pop off. At least I have these foundation stitches in here. Okay. Come on. Let's pull it out, whatever. You're not gonna work with me because it's woolen spun. That's what it is. It's got a grip to it. There. And what I don't want could also be, it feels like I went backwards with this lifeline. But if you've never seen a lifeline in action, welcome to the wonderful world of lifelines and how to get them on and off. And this shows you when you're working with wool yarn where it's not full of nylon or silk or cashmere or anything else, and it's just 100% wool, your stitches don't fall off, or they don't unravel, at least not easily, which is nice. There we go. Come on. There. All right, let's see how much stretch the Latvian braid really has. All right, so we've got the cast on. Can't pull it any tighter than this. This is 48 stitches. Yeah, it's got stretch all right. There's a lot of stretch to it. So yeah, you could do this on a sweater. And being that you wouldn't have the cast on edge stopping you, if you're on a sweater, you would just have the body of the sweater attached. Then you could implant the braid and then continue with a little bit more underneath the braid, stockinette or whatever the case is, and then do your ribbing at the bottom for some decoration. Because the body is going to stretch, you don't have a cast on to prohibit, because your cast ons almost like lock you into place. It's not like just working with a massive amount of material like a body of a sweater. The braid will stretch. If it's stretching for this, it'll stretch in the body of a sweater, I think. So just a self-reminder to give that a try at least one time just to see. And you can even do it on a cuff. So I could have done a braid in here, somewhere up here, or a braid right here, and then continued, and it would have worked just fine. Yeah. Obviously not blue and white with all this gray and pink, but yeah, that would have worked. Pull that right in there. So just as a reminder, you can always do that. Or for kicks and giggles, let's see. You could do the braid for the end of the cuff. Possibly. The thing is, you gotta deal with the cast off for the braid. So, not sure how that would work. Doing a cast off for a Latvian braid, you may just have to do the braid and then do one row and then do your cast off. It'd be a super tight edge, but at least you wouldn't have to worry about casting off in the braid. Which actually, now that I think about it, so if this is the body, here's your braid. Yeah, you would end up casting off right in here. You would do that one round just like I did, because I have two in here. This is the first. This is the first round. This is the second round. On that first round, this right here, the second round would be the cast off edge. So you could make the braid on a sleeve cuff, make the braid be the end of your binding or the end of your cuff. Do that one extra row and then bind off after that, or have it further down or somewhere in between your color work as a border. But yep, Latvian braid with a braided edge, and it looks nice. Just remember, you always end up having, well, from a distance, this is the beginning of the round. Yeah, that weird wonkiness is gone. Make sure, was that the beginning of the round? Yeah. Yeah, it stretches out. Not bad. Oh yeah, you can see it right in there. It's a little off. But yep, Latvian braid. Braided cast on. Not hard at all. Yay.